Have you ever heard of the legend of the Vittoria Regia? It tells the story of Naiá, a beautiful young indigenous woman who was fascinated by the glow of the stars and longed to become one of them. Driven by this desire, Naiá rejected all suitors and spent her nights gazing at the sky, believing that the stars were warriors taken by the great god Tupa to shine eternally. But what happened that turned her into a legend? Want to learn more about this fascinating story? Then stay with me and let's uncover this mystery together. In the beating heart of the Amazon rainforest, where rivers wind like silver pathways, where the winds whisper forgotten stories and nocturnal animals guard ancestral secrets, there lived a young woman of singular beauty named Naiá. Her name was spoken with respect by the elders and with admiration by the children. From an early age, she listened to the stories passed down by her tribe about Jasi, the moon god, who, on nights of the brightest glow, would descend from the heavens to choose the most beautiful maidens and transform them into eternal stars, shimmering in the vast black veil of the night. These chosen young women would never experience old age nor know pain, only the luminous eternity of a destiny among the stars. Naiá listened to these stories with eyes shining in fascination. Her heart raced at the thought of being taken by Jasi, becoming part of the sky, visible to all future generations. She did not just want to be one of the chosen, she felt she was born for this. While her companions dreamed of marriages, children, and bountiful harvests, Naiá longed for something far greater: immortality among the stars. Every night, as the village surrendered to rest, Naiá remained awake. She would sit by the great river, her feet gently touching the cold waters, and lift her face toward the sky. The moon, imposing and silver, seemed to gaze back at her. Jasi's reflection on the river's surface hypnotized her, and deep inside, she believed that glow was not just a trick of light and water. It was a calling, a silent invitation for her to cross the boundary between the world of men and the realm of the stars. But no matter how long she waited, Jasi never took her. Time passed, and her yearning grew like a fire that refused to be extinguished. With each night that passed without being chosen, Naiá felt sorrow consuming her spirit. What was missing? Did Jasi not deem her worthy? The elders noticed her restlessness. Naiá's parents, worried about her obsession, tried to warn her. Not all young women were chosen. Some simply had to accept their earthly fate and find happiness in the simple life of the village. But Naiá would not listen. She did not want an ordinary destiny. She began avoiding sleep, refusing food, and spending hours gazing at the moon, as if expecting Jasi to come for her at any moment. Then, on a night of intense brilliance, Jasi was full and golden, illuminating the forest with an otherworldly silver light. The river, in its deep calm, reflected the moon's glow with stunning clarity. But to Naiá, something was different that night. The reflection seemed sharper, closer, almost tangible. A shiver ran down her spine. Something inside her whispered that this was the moment. Her heart raced. She stood up, walking slowly toward the water. The wind blew gently, like a whisper from the forest. The branches of the trees swayed slightly, and the eyes of nocturnal creatures gleamed in the darkness, as if witnessing what was about to unfold. She stepped into the river, first wetting her feet, then her knees, then her waist. Each step felt like a passage into another world, a threshold between the real and the divine. The water was cold, but Naiá did not feel it. Jasi's call was irresistible. With eyes filled with tears and hope, she plunged into the deep waters, stretching her arms toward the moon. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The reflection shone brighter. The river swallowed her body. Silence reigned. Naiá did not resurface. The next day, her village mourned her loss. The elders lowered their heads in respect, and the warriors played their drums in her honor. Her burning desire had consumed her, But above, Hasi watched. The moon god, moved by her devotion, could not let her fade without a reward. She could not be forgotten, nor condemned to the emptiness of the depths. Naiá was special. And then, in the exact spot where her body had vanished, the waters began to stir gently. What seemed to be just a reflection started to take form. A plant emerged from the depths. But it was no ordinary plant. Its leaves were enormous, floating as if embracing the river. At its center, a flower with white petals bloomed, delicate and majestic, its pale color reflecting the silver light of the moon. It was Naiá. She had been transformed into the Regia, the queen of the waters, a flower that only blooms at night when Hati is present, rejecting the light of the sun, for her heart still belonged to the moon. Its soft fragrance drifts through the forest like a whisper, and those who approach the river on quiet nights swear they can hear her voice echoing among the leaves. She became eternal, not in the sky, but in the rivers. The young girl who wished to be a star became the star of the waters, a living tribute to those who dream without limits. And they say that to this day, when the full moon shines over the Amazonian rivers, Naiá dances silently among the leaves of the Regia, floating beneath the gaze of Jaci, the only love who never abandoned her. Time passed, and the story of Naiá and Jaci became a sacred legend among the tribes of the forest. The elders continued to tell it, their voices filled with reverence and mystery, ensuring that no generation would forget the young girl who dared to dream beyond the stars. The flower that was born from her sacrifice became a powerful symbol, a reminder that love and devotion can transcend the limits of the mortal world. The indigenous people came to regard the Regia as a sacred plant. It is said that the women of the tribe, when leaning over the waters and touching its petals, can feel Naiá's presence as if a breath of her soul still lingers among the leaves. Warriors, before setting out on great challenges, would seek her blessing, believing that her strength of spirit would bring them courage. But the most fascinating part was what happened on nights of the full moon. During these special nights, when Jaci's reflection was at its brightest and the forest was bathed in an almost magical silver light, the petals of the Regia seemed to glow with a subtle shimmer, as if Naiá was manifesting, recalling her ancient promise to become one with the moon. Many claimed to hear her soft song blending with the sound of the waters, a whisper lost in the wind, an echo of her immortal presence. The legend also says that those with a pure heart who approach the river in silence may see Naiá's soul dancing among the floating leaves. Her reflection appears for just a brief moment, a play of light and shadow, as if she were trapped between two worlds, the world of the living and the realm of the waters. Some say that when this happens, the moon shines even brighter, as if Jaci himself is leaning down to admire his beloved flower. And there were those who believed that, on stormy nights, when the winds howled through the trees and the river's waters stirred restlessly, it was Naiá calling for Hati, yearning for his touch, pleading to be lifted into the sky. But the moon, despite all his love, could not take her. The young girl's fate was sealed in the waters, and so he could only illuminate her, enveloping her in his cold, silent light, like an eternal embrace. Understanding this silent sorrow, the tribe began to hold rituals on the riverbanks, in Naiá's honor. On nights of the full moon, the women would adorn the lake with flowers and sing soft chants, praying that Naiá would find peace in her new form. They gathered around the waters, singing to the Regia, telling her story so that her name would never fade from the memory of the forest. So, what did you think of this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from you. Oh, and don't leave just yet. The next video is already on your screen. Click and keep watching. See you there.